Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. Recently, I went on a trip to a couple of theme parks in the UK, and one of those parks was Legoland Windsor. This was different from the other parks I went to, such as Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, and even Chessington World of Adventures, because no rides in this park are especially large or thrilling. The park is not made to appeal to the thrill junkies like myself. It's mainly meant for younger kids, and those who are fans of Lego. However, what the rides tend to lack in adrenaline rushes, I think they generally make up for in creativity and good old-fashioned fun. So in this video, I'll be talking about the top 10 rides at Legoland Windsor that you can enjoy while you go there. Before we begin, there are two honorable mentions. The first is driving school. Driving school is a staple of Legoland parks around the world, where kids aged 13 and under can drive around in their own cars. They choose where they go, it's not on a set track, and it's a blast. It's only for the kids that are within the age limit, so I won't talk about it here, but I'm pretty sure it would be in any kid's top 10. The other ride to note is Lego City Deep Sea Adventure. This is a submarine ride that looks fantastic, but it is unfortunately closed for the 2024 season, so come back to this list in 2025, and I'm pretty sure people will be commenting that it is one of the best in the park. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the top 10. Number 10 is Coastguard HQ. Similar to driving school, this one allows you to pilot your own boats. You get to choose where you steer, there is a set path you have to take with a beginning and end and all, but it's still fairly freeform. You can turn, you can crash into people, which is actually against the rules, but it's pretty much guaranteed to happen at one point, even by accidents. And along the ride, you will see many fun Lego sets, or some large fake minifigures. Some of these are weird, considering the Coast Guard theme. I wouldn't expect to see an elephant or a polar bear on a beach, but those are there. It's overall a scenic ride with a great interactive element for the kids, and some nice looking Lego sets for the adults to enjoy. Number 9, Dragon's Apprentice. A somewhat small roller coaster. It's tiny enough that it goes through the cycle twice, but it is certainly a good small coaster. It provides decent forces and thrills for the younger audience. It's certainly no Smiler or Nemesis, but it's not a bad one for the younger kids who are getting into roller coasters. I don't think anyone would be too scared of it. I know coasters can be scary, but it's a great one to introduce your youngster to, especially with the great theming with the whole tower you go through, the dragon Lego statue, and so much more. Definitely a very fun kids coaster. Number 8, Legoland Express. The train ride of the park. This is no doubt an enjoyable and calm ride. As you're just going around the park on the train, it can be relaxing, and I find, as a somewhat older person going to Legoland, train rides can be super fun in a park like this, where you just sit around, look at the great views from below or slightly above, depending on where you are in the park, just taking in the scenery, not doing a whole lot. It doesn't need to be thrilling, you just get great views of the Lego City area, and a bit more. On top of this, there are plenty of fun Lego sets all around, and that's one of the best things about the rides here. I don't think these Lego sets are the strongest in the park, and you'll probably get sprayed and soaked at a certain point. There was one part right after the Lost Kingdom Adventure crossing that was very surprising to me. That was probably my least favorite part of the train ride, but still, overall, this one is pretty enjoyable. Number 7, Haunted House Monster Party. For younger kids, this might be the scariest ride in the park. It's themed to monsters, which can always be a little much. And it's a Vekoma Madhouse model, which makes you feel like you're going upside down. You don't actually, it's all illusions, but it can be a little frightening, and it's the closest you'll get to going upside down at the park. Overall, I find this one to be quite a blast. If your kids can enjoy the monster theme, they will definitely have fun with the parts where they're told to dance and they can dance around in the pre-show or even during the ride. It's very high energy, and while that might not be the perfect cup of tea for some parents, the kids will love it if they can stomach the monster theme. And for me personally, I love the great theming inside and outside of the building, and the more frightening parts at the end of the ride were incorporated quite well. A great mix of high energy fun and slightly sinister scares. Nothing too much for kids of a certain age, and definitely a high priority if you go to the park. Number 6, Fairy Tale Brook. Fairy Tale Brook is similar to the storybook canals at Disney parks. You get in a small boat and go around many Lego sets telling some fairy tale stories. It's quite charming. I love how heavily forested it is. It really does feel like you might be in the woods from a fairy tale. The main issue with this ride is that while the sets themselves look great, there's audio cues that go with them, but the audio is loud enough and the sets are close enough together that there's a lot of overlap, and it can be a little confusing. I think in general, if you're just looking around enjoying the sets, you'll have a fun time on this one for sure. It's nothing overly spectacular, but it's a very fun, relaxing boat ride for the parents, with a lot to look at for the kids and even the parents who enjoy some fairy tale themes. Not the best ride in the park, but definitely one I would recommend trying to get on, especially considering it doesn't tend to have a very long wait. Number 5, Flight of the Sky Lion. In the Lego Mythica area, this is a super fascinating experience. It is the UK's first flying theater, similar to Soarin' at Disney parks. But Lego parks tend to be a little different in how they do flying theaters. Instead of being solely focused on scenery, there's a story to tell. And some things about this ride work quite well. First of all, the facade with the massive statue of Lego Maximus might be the best looking facade of any ride I've ever seen. It's utterly gorgeous. Beyond that, the ride has a very great sense of immersion. The way they use different sensory elements like smell-o-vision add quite a bit to the experience. And the movements are overall fairly convincing. Unfortunately, the screen is small enough that you can sometimes see the edges and it'll take you out of the experience. And I find the story is a little bare bones, and if there's a little more focus on just enjoying the beautiful world of Lego Mythica, it could be better. There's not much else to say, especially with the very limited footage I have to show because you're not allowed to film on the ride, but this is a super fun experience. Definitely one of the best in the park. If you enjoy gorgeous animation, you'll enjoy this one, and if you have young kids, I think they'll be desperate to get on this one, and it'll definitely be worth their while. Number 4, Laser Raiders. The staple, Egyptian tomb-themed shooting dark ride of Legoland parks. I prefer the version in Florida known as Lost Kingdom Adventure, but not by a huge margin. This is one of my favorite shooting dark rides in the world. I've not done every out there, but from what I've done, not many have this level of interactivity. I enjoy the fact that targets are physical, because screen-based shooting dark rides simply are not as fun. And when you hit the targets, oftentimes it triggers some sort of fun little scene. And that adds so much to the experience. This one's great to be competitive with, and if you're a fan of shooting dark rides in general, there are few that are quite as good in terms of the actual working of the guns in my experience, and there really was no issue with the whole ride experience. There are a few sets that are a little lackluster compared to the Florida one, but still, super fun ride, highly recommend it. Number 3, the Dragon, another staple of Legoland parks. This Dragon roller coaster is a tad inferior to the one in Florida. This one has a very loud Lego Kingdom music going through the entire ride no matter what scene you're in. There's less music in the Florida one, but I think it works better because it allows the transition from one scene to another to be a little more major. Because when you have overbearing music the whole time, it takes away from the actual scenes a bit more. That said, the outdoor version provides the same thrilling fun of the Legoland Florida version, and it has a great forested setting that makes the overall outdoor experience a little better. The Windsor Dragon is slightly inferior overall, but still a great ride combining dark ride and roller coaster elements, and there's a reason why this is such a staple at all Legoland parks. Number 2, Pirate Falls Treasure Quest. This ride will not be for everyone, because you will get wet, and possibly soaked. The splash itself after the final drop is not the biggest soaker, but there are tons of water cannons and guns that will get you. I came off absolutely drenched, but I had a super fun time on this one. The story can be hard to follow, but there are just so many great LEGO pirate sets here. They're almost as good as the ones on Dragon. but they get a bit of a point above it for me because of the fact that there's no overbearing music, and the interactivity with the water makes them seem a little more immersive. Immersion's a big thing for a lot of theme park people, and while I don't think it's the most important thing out there, if you have young kids and they don't mind getting wet, they will love the interactive elements of this ride. You have a great scenic lake at one point you look to, with some more Lego sets inside of it, like a shark, and I think there's a monkey at some point too. And the scene inside of the main house that you go into before the final drop is a super fun one. It ties the story together well, and all in all, this is a fantastic water ride, probably not as masterfully crafted as something like Valhalla and Blackpool Pleasure Beach, but still a super fun one for kids and adults alike. Number 1 is Minifigure Speedway. Minifigure Speedway is a dueling Vekoma family boomerang coaster. Boomerang coaster means you go up a spike, backwards, then go through the whole layout forwards, then you go through the whole layout backwards again. It's so much fun. The layout itself provides moderate thrills in the same way that Dragon roller coasters do, but this ride is the most fun in the park, not just for being the most thrilling by a small margin, but perhaps being the most interactive of the major thrilling rides. There's a bit of a story going on here, where there are 2 dueling cars. Each one is a different team of racers, and the idea is you're trying to see who will complete the track first. And throughout, it'll seem like one side's winning, then the other is, and in the end, they do declare a winner. So that's so much fun. A lot of rides like this, they wouldn't go through the effort to have that. It would just kind of be you finish the ride and get off, or they say everyone wins. But no, in this one, you get the satisfaction of actually winning. You didn't do anything to earn it, but still. Now, if you have kids who are sore losers, they definitely will not enjoy being on the losing side, and that might be a risk here. But if they don't mind that, I think you'll find the bit of adrenaline you get from the fact that you are racing against someone else makes this a super fun ride, and in my opinion, the best ride for pretty much everyone at Legoland Windsor. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your thoughts on Legoland Windsor rides or any questions you might have about the park. Subscribe for more theme park content. I'll see you next time.